Joe Frazier versus George Foreman. We've seen this. And you know what I'm talking about when Joe Frazier bangs his gloves together.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to watch it over multiple fights. That's what I want to do. So we have our fight here. We know how this ended up. But we want to look for a specific behavior and look at how many times he does it, where he does it, and when. So we can start to count it and appraise the skill. We want to appraise the skill. See if it's a good skill or a bad skill. He's already done it once. He did it right before, right? Look at that. Okay. So he banged his gloves together twice, actually. Once right when the bell rang, and then once right here at zone 4. And then George Foreman jumped in there, swinging that crazy uppercut, saying, "Hey, get out of here. I'm not fighting you at zone 2. If you fight here, I'm going to clobber you." Okay, he starts ducking. Okay. He's got his guard. He's running a guard game. Now, right after that, he did bang his gloves together. Right? Yeah. He just got disengaged and turned. Zone 4, bang the gloves. Again, bang the gloves. Okay? He's feinting. Okay, try to pull his hands down. Okay. Oh, right there. He just did it again. That's a big one because that's in between. Boom. He's getting ready to do something. Here it is. Yep. He's getting ready to do something. So that's like every time he's about to approach and about to attack, I see Joe Frazier banging his gloves together, right? It's not even necessarily like a feint. It doesn't look like one. But of the 4 behaviors, what do you think this is?
Each 4?
With the 4 behaviors, we have jabs, offense, defense, and disengagements. Which of the 4 is that?
I'd say it's offense. Because he does it before his attacks.
Well, he does it before his offense. So it's a jab. It's setting up his offense, right? One of the purposes of jabs is to set up your offense. So because he's doing it before his offense, I'm going to call it a jab. Let's categorize it as a jab, especially since it's out of range at zone 4. Offense is defined as attack, right? And he didn't throw any punches, and he didn't hurt George Foreman. He can't hurt him by banging his own gloves together, right?
Right.
So this is a jabbing behavior. Now, we have 12 jabs, and this is the closest to a feint. This behavior is closest to a feint, right? He's boom, he does something, boom, right? He just boom, maybe he's tried to set something up with his. But are there better jabs that we could use in this situation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
What do you think would have been a better jab at that situation? And in this situation I'm talking about is, look, he just landed a little bit. This is the first time he was able to actually land. Right? He did land that hook. You saw that? And they break.
Yeah.
Boom. So right here, almost at zone 3, zone 4, right at zone 3, he bangs his gloves together. What would have been better here?
I would say multiple jab or body jab.
Which one?
Multiple jab or body jab, for example.
Multiple jab?
Yeah. To close the distance.
Yeah, like a double jab to like pin him down, right? A double or triple jab here probably would have pinned him down. But again, George Foreman is the bigger guy, right? And so though he is resting here,
up jab. Because
yeah, that's an option too. But he's already standing tall. We don't need him to look up. We actually probably want to stabilize him more. So maybe even a down jab to hit him in the stomach if we want to do it. But then remember, George Foreman hits hard. We need to make him miss. So against the ropes, he actually shouldn't be pressing the offense because he doesn't have a game-ending offense at this point, does he? Right? He has a big left hook that he lands. Boom.
Yeah.
Right? But we already know the outcome of this fight, right? George Frazier ended up in shambles, right? So that just kind of ends in tears. When you get somebody in this position and you decide to overcommit,
A little bit tense looking.
right? So that's just not going to help you. See? He's like, oh no, I'm going to commit. Boom. Right? And then he just gets pushed back. So I think a down jab, a double jab, maybe a double jab, but staying out of range would have been a better option. Right? But let's continue going through this round so that we can see where he bangs his gloves together after that and see how that serves him. Because we just observed it once, right? Let's see.
And has been nailed, and nailed good. Joe Frazier's best punch is his left hook.
He did it again. He did it twice.
Foreman apparently not trying to keep
Okay, he just unsuccessfully tried to approach.
Frazier off with
Boom, he saw him go like this with his hands almost banging together.
that jab.
He's in a rhythm right now. He's in a musical rhythm, and I get it. Everybody got to get in rhythm, but damn, dude, it can't be this obvious. See? Okay.
Now Foreman looks
Big
a little
uppercut.
looser.
It looks like he's hitting him right. Look at this disengagement, right? Boom. Okay, he hits him, and then watch this. Boom. There's a break here.
Now Foreman
Banged his gloves together.
looks a little looser.
George Foreman goes in. He dives in. Why? Because he's about to get ready and do something. And what does Joe Frazier do? Bobs and weaves and hits you with a big left hook.
Yeah.
Well, if you're bobbing, why don't you take this uppercut down there while you're down there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's exactly what George Foreman did to time him. Mm-hmm. Bam,
Now Foreman looks a little
bam,
looser.
bam. And hit it. Really, it's that because the uppercuts to the body stabilized him, but that hook up top that a lot of people I think missed. This is the one that really hurt, and this is what hurt him off the ropes. See, his head turning, boom. Right. So now he ends up against the ropes, and everybody's still cheering from that left hook that he landed earlier, but now he's actually losing. See, he just ate a huge one. Now people are starting to realize, okay, the tables may have turned a little bit. Maybe a lot of bit.
Foreman showing a good, smart,
Okay, he hasn't had a chance. Here, see right there, he was just does a little small little nudge here and gets his rhythm again. But there's no change in position, no improvement on how things are looking. Okay. Okay, he tried to attack there. Unsuccessful, starts bobbing. Bang his gloves together, and he says, okay, now, he bangs gloves together, and he says, okay, now I'm going to do something. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's just been telegraphing it this whole time. So, you know, I think that against this type of fighter, you know, it's not really the best option. Now, Frazier versus Ali.
Again, that's interesting. You mean this type of fighters? You mean like Foreman?
Yeah, against Foreman.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah,
now,
actually, I was gonna ask you, then how did Ali lose?
how did Ali deal with it? Let's see. Let's see when the break is. I mean, we just skipped to a random place here. Is there? Okay, there was no. He's successfully defending and gets inside and was successful in his offense. And this is where you don't really see him banging his gloves together. You see him doing that cross catch, right? Do you see that cross catch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And this dipping movement, look at his arm position, right? It's really interesting. And this is what I was telling you about when the Philly shell, because he is from Philly, right? He kind of did it differently. It wasn't a shell. It was more of the, the cross arm block.
Finding.
But he was turning over both sides. So it looked kind of like the shell, but kind of like raised up so that he could keep his hands up and hook you. Because his arm, he couldn't straighten his arm. broken. Right? Okay. You get in the rhythm. Now, and you can see what he's doing is he's working off of Ali's rhythm. And I think that's a
Right.
huge difference within the Ali versus Frazier and and the Foreman versus Frazier fight. Foreman didn't really work off of, he didn't give him anything to work with. He just came in and started clobbering, and then he stopped. You notice, like in that first round, he stopped throwing punches. Right? Now here we see Ali constantly throwing punches. And Joe Frazier, he gets caught, but he's still bobbing and weaving. He's still working off the rhythm. There's nothing stopping his rhythm. There's no reset being forced on Joe Frazier right now.
That whipping right uppercut, one of Ali's best punches.
So here, and Ali's kind of suffering for it. And we know, and obviously, Ali is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He beat Joe Frazier in the rematch and in the third fight, right?
Right.
But how hard were those fights? Those are some of the most costly fights of his career. They cost him years of his life, I believe. In the art of war, they say it is, it's not so good to win with such difficulty. We want to specialize in winning with ease. That is the art of war, the way of strategy. So strategically, what I see is when you constantly throw punches against a rhythmic fighter, they can work off of it. They have no reset. So we haven't even seen him do the reset. Now, I bet you that he'll do it sometimes off the first round, because I think in the first round, in the early rounds, it was a little bit harder to read the rhythm. So let's see. Okay. Oh, there it is. See, he said touch his nose, and then he banged his gloves together, and now he's approaching. I bet you he'll start bobbing and weaving. Oh, does it again. Okay. And Ali fainted. Okay. Okay, see, Ali was staying far away. Far away. So, it looks like, and this was the golden opportunity right here. See, watch that. He just banged his gloves together, and then Ali actually tries to leap on it, but look how far away he was, right? He just saw it, and then he tries to hit him. But he misses. You saw that, right? So, what do you think about that? What do you think of that chance and that decision and all that?
Yeah, one thing I noticed is that, Foreman, when he missed punches, he put his hands on the opponent, right? He did it several times here too. But Ali, I guess, doesn't really do that too much, at least in this round. And another thing is that, well, not just in this round, but the previous rounds we watched, before this, he didn't really use uppercuts to bring him up from weaving, right?
That's a good
I
observation.
remember you said he didn't use body shots in the heavyweight. That was,
Ali didn't believe in him.
And that cost him a lot, right?
Yeah. It cost him a lot in certain situations, but it also lends to his ability to become the heavyweight champion and to win over the big three, right? You have, R.I.P. Ali, Frazier, and Foreman, but Ali was the king. And for him to beat all of them without body shots, come on, man, that's crazy. But
right.
We still want to be objective. We want to be objective and look at their skills and what makes their skills good or bad and all that stuff. That's what this lesson is all about today. It's appraisal, right? So, all right. Against Ali, the rhythm, the banging the gloves together, okay? Is that useful here? No. It's not. What is it? I mean, can you tell me? What use did he have right here? Off the break, right here. Banging his gloves together. Boom. There's only one reason. The only one good thing is that he banged his gloves together, and then Ali attacked. So if he's using it to bait him, great. But how do we know that he is not using it to bait him?
Wow. He would get caught in between because he doesn't expect the punch. I mean, he's
Right.
trying to set up his offense.
Yes,
But
but defense
it
is part of his offense. You see him ducking. That's how he sets up his big left hook. Okay, that's good, but that's only if they punch. Now, if they don't punch,
Right.
he clearly isn't using the
Yeah.
glove banging technique as a feint because he should have done something else against Foreman. The reason I know that this is not a choice, it's an unconscious habit, is because he got punished for it and he didn't make a change to his behavior. I don't think that
Right.
Frazier wanted to get knocked down 5 times. Right? I don't think he
Right.
wanted Foreman to steamroll him the way that he did at all. Now, and this is kind of understanding like the power of analysis and the power of doing this to make you completely stand out from all these other fighters with small things. Could you imagine hitting somebody instead of standing at zone 4 here, right? You threw the hook, and instead of pushing him away like that, let's say you stood right here, and then by standing there, you're already statuesque and strong. Boom, right there when he bangs his gloves together. Imagine Muhammad Ali is one big step closer. This right hand hits Frazier. Right on the nose. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. He's way too close, way too fast, and way too pretty. Right? It's Muhammad Ali. He go and catch you if he's that close to you and he senses a lapse in rhythm. But he didn't. So against another rhythmic fighter, okay, maybe you can bang your gloves together, but does it help you? Nah, not really. Especially if you're not doing it on purpose.
Right.
But then, if you aren't doing it on purpose, well, how do we know if it's good or bad? Well, look at what happens when he gets punished for it. This has nothing. I don't care about banging the gloves together. I don't care about that. What I'm teaching you right now is how to appraise people's behaviors and to find their weakness. This is how you find habits.
So basically, if he doesn't,
Oh, there he
sorry,
is. Okay.
I want to switch. So basically, if he doesn't, changes his behavior after his cut or make adjustments, so this is basically a bad hack.
Yeah, like if he doesn't do anything about the negative consequences, right? Because we know he wants to win. If it's a setup fight, that's different, right? If you don't want to win, that's different. But let's go ahead and assume there's no corruption here, and they both want to win. Okay? If they both want to win, and unless you're stupid, right? Doing the same thing that gets you hurt over and over again is just, it's obvious that whatever you're doing is a habit instead of a tactic, instead of a stratagem.
Right.
Right? So that's how we can kind
I
of
see
appraise that skill and be like, all right, well, that was good or bad. Because, people talk about, your records and being undefeated and how boxing is results-based and all that stuff. And in a way, I guess it can be, but, like, undefeated records are kind of losing their luster, right? People don't care that much anymore about undefeated records. They're tired. They're tired of seeing it, actually. I'd rather see somebody that's got 1 or 2 losses like Canelo,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you want to see them bounce back. You want to see how they grew from that loss.
Exactly.
So, bouncing back. Let's roll it back. Okay, so the common saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to that, I say, you're probably ignorant. Like, you're probably just ignorant. You don't even know that it's broken. Like, you don't even... And then they're like, well, what do you mean it's not broken? He's undefeated. I'm like, bro, if you fight 25 Joe Schmoes from Mexico that have no footwork, that are kind of off the street, and that's a common place to where you have people just kind of fighting for money. I'm not being racist, right? That's just a placement thing. People in Mexico, they get these bum fights, and they may be some tough guys, too, that know how to fight, know how to brawl. And then you get to the top level, and you fight a freaking intercontinental champion from Europe, who has like Soviet style or whatever they want to call it. Just the people that are more avoidant and a little bit less direct, like the Mexican. You're gonna get your ass kicked. No. Because we just saw Joe Frazier, one of the best in the world, Olympic gold medalist, I believe. He fought George Foreman and lost miserably. That was a miserable loss, right? A 2-round destruction. And then we see him beating the best of our time in their first fight right here against Muhammad Ali with the same style, not a different style. So that tells me that he may have taken for granted what he was doing. Maybe he didn't. They just kept winning, and they said, okay, if he's winning, then there's nothing to address. Bro, you can get a 3rd-round knockout, and I'm still going to be on your ass if we review your tape and I see a bunch of habits that I didn't ask you to do.
I see your point. Right.
Right? That's the power of appraisal. That's what we want to, just kind of go over and get through. And I wanted to do a little film study with you about that, to try to identify some habits. Now, let's take a fight.
Actually, I remember one thing.
Huh?
Coach, sorry. Actually, I remembered one thing that